I've got, as you can see, a little collection of knives by gunmakers. It's not a deliberate collecting policy, it's just, I have, and we'll have a decent look at them. Only one of these knives, however, is actually made by the company whose name it has on it. So, let's have a look at some of these in slightly more depth, shall we? First of all, Europe first, as Churchill said, and why not? Well, Webley. Webley, as a proper gunmaker, English gunmaker, British gunmaker, went bust some time ago, and I think it's fair to say the products now are not viewed quite as favourably as some of their older stuff. They did make a small range of knives. I don't think they do now, although it's a bit hard to find out really. This is one of them. Quite a nice little folder, actually. And 440 stainless, someone's trying. This thumb stud could go on either side, so again, well, reasonably well thought out. Nicely fitted, nicely finished. Nice bit of wood there, I think. Could do with a bit of polishing, I suppose. But yeah, so that's the first one. That's the Webley. Second, this Walther. I like this a lot. There's a really clever little design on the back here. Belt loop that way, or you could have your belt going through those two as well. So choice of carrying. Decent popper, nice bit of branding. And it's a flipper. This is the same, this is the Walther PPQ. Apparently to accompany their pistol, bit of oil on it. But accompany the pistol. This stippling is the same as on the grip of the pistol. And yeah, it is 440, I think, so someone's not trying reasonably well with the steel. It's adequate. It's a proper ambidextrous knife. Can be open one-handed, and it can, to my great delight, be flipped as well. It's a decent size too. I like the looks of that. And that, I like this knife. I like this knife a lot. It was actually in a sale for some reason. It didn't sell very well. Yeah, don't know. Anyway, I like it. It's a decent knife. Next, let's see, the Glock. This is the Glock Messer 81, because it's the survival knife with the saw edge. The 78, I think, is the field knife. Oddly enough, this is the only one that was actually available in the UK that I could find. Wanted one of these for a while, and with the ridiculous postage delivery costs that are going to be coming in soon, I thought I'd get one now. Subtle bit of Glock branding, and oddly enough, that is on, if you're a right-hander, that is on the inside, so you can't see it. This is quality. The only thing I'm slightly bothered about, if we can see, is this gap here. I don't know if this is intentional or not. I will be looking at this in a bit more depth in a separate video, I think, because I've only had it about 36 hours, and most of that time I've either been at work or asleep, so I haven't had not really a lot of time to do things with it. But the reports seem actually quite favourable with these, so we'll have a look at this one in more depth later on. Now, Smith & Wesson, yes, Smith & Wesson. This is the first generation Extreme Ops. I think they're on the third generation now. Yeah, first production run. Look at that. Got the box with it. Still got the pocket clip on, which I usually take off. Not a great fan of Tanto blades. This is more a memorial to my best friend who died a couple of years ago, rather odd circumstances. He was a huge Tanto fan. And yeah, so that's a bit of a tribute, really. You'd have to be, I don't know what you'd actually use this for. I don't think a Tanto blade is actually any use. I don't know. Anyway, it's a memorial. This Remington I bought just because the salesman did such a good job. I said, oh, can I have a look at that? And he took it out and he just went, yeah, I've never really seen a flipper before. So I thought, yep, I'll have that. Let me see, Remington, not very well, but it's Remington on there. This is the Remington Realtree Camo. And this Realtree Camo is a really odd, it's nice, rubbery, grippy, textured stuff. It's great. I wonder how durable it is going to be, given it's quite sort of thin and rubbery. And the other thing with durability that I think is if I took this out in the field and dropped it, then you're never going to find it again. So that would tempt me not to actually take it out, because it would actually be quite a nice knife. It's very slim, slender, very light. It would be nice to put in a pouch or something. You wouldn't really notice the weight of that. deploys very quickly, very nicely. So that's the Realtree Camo. This is a bit of left field as far as I'm concerned. I went into a local gun shop to buy a knife, saw this, sat there and just thought, oh, I want that one. That looks really nice. And indeed it is. There's a couple of reviews on this platform about these. Then they just don't seem to be very, very common knives. I like it a lot. Nice bit of Winchester branding. Serial number on here, although I've no idea what it means. And it's an interesting knife to hold. It is a bit odd that there's no sort of crossguard you can put your hand against, but it's comfortable. This is really nice and smooth, and I think a very, very attractive handle as well. All in all, really, actually, really quite nice knife. You've got a bugger to keep it clean. You get fingerprints on there all over it. But, yeah, Winchester. I can't remember the model name. I think it's a Winchester dual-coloured handle, something ridiculous like that. But it is, oh, silly name aside, it's a nice knife. Decent, big, thick bit of steel. Can't remember what it is, but it's actually quite a quality steel. And, yeah, generally, I think this is a really smart knife. And last but not least, my very favourite, Colt sentry. If you look on some of the forums, Colt owners aren't exactly ecstatic that this thing is made in Pakistan. Well, that's the real world for you, unfortunately. Pakistan does have a fairly ropey reputation for knife and knife metals, but this I mean, it's not going to be used very much. It's much more of a sort of wall hanger, I suppose. I guess. I mean, it's pretty sharp. It's pretty hefty. You probably could chop quite a lot with that. This is going to be a bit vulnerable though. Ooh, lovely handle. It's just really nice. I think it's really nice. It's. I mean, if one knife were to reverse the myths about Pakistan knives, then perhaps this might be it. Although, despite quite careful storage, there's a little bit of rust on there, which is not particularly impressive. So perhaps it's not the knife to reverse all the myths about Pakistan knives. Anyway, that is my collection of knives by gunmakers, and the answer to the question at the beginning of the thing, the only knife made by the company whose name it actually bears is the Glock. There. And it is actually made in Austria by Glock. So, that's the answer.